The Progetto 65 is a tier 10 auto-reloading Italian medium tank. In a matter of 6 seconds from the first shell leaving the vehicle, it is able to deal 1,050 potential damage. Now that's a lot of damage. In fact, enough damage to deal more than half of any tier 10 medium. However, we're not going to be playing in the Progetto today, we're going to be playing in the Standard B. This is the tier 9 leading up to the tier 10. Now the Standard B, ever since it has come into the game, has been one of the strongest vehicles, and even after its numerous amount of nerfs, it is still incredibly powerful. Just to showcase how I've done in the vehicle today alone, I played in Platoon with Bat Chat Begins, I won all 12 of the games, and I'm averaging 3,461 damage. I mean, that is absolutely insane. So yeah, the Standard B is not a vehicle to be messed with. It's fast. It goes at a top speed of 58 kilometers per hour. It has 10 degrees of gun depression over the front. Oh, and yeah, it also carries HESH, which the tier 10 doesn't even carry. 116 millimeters of HESH penetration and 400 damage per shot, which means in 6 seconds you can deal 1,200 damage, the same as a 57 Heavy or an AMX 50B. Yeah, this tank kind of has everything going for it. There's really only one downside, and that is armor. Yeah, it has almost no armor going for it. In fact, it's 50 millimeters on the upper plate and 25 on the sides. Oh yeah. That means any 150 millimeter shells from either RHMs, Waffenträgers, Girl 15s, just for example in the German line, they can penetrate through the frontal armor of this vehicle, even the upper plate, no problem whatsoever with HE. And that's 1,000 hit points, so you have to be careful when running the vehicle. But for the most part, if you understand how to run this tank, it is insane. Yeah, it definitely takes a while to load in all 3 of the shells on this tank. But as I clearly just showed, I'm averaging 3,500 damage in the vehicle. DPM is important, but having a clip and being able to use this as a single shot is even more important. The second game you're going to watch is really where the single shot comes in handy after I've dumped my shells out. So what do we have here? We got a Centurion Mark 5-1 and an E50. I'm going to get a shell into the lower plate of the Mark 5-1. I'm also going to aim in on the C50, and ooh, that was just a weird shot, wasn't it? Well, it's all fine. We've dealt 357 damage, and I haven't lost too much health, so we're just going to back up. I'm going to wait for my second shell, and there you go. Now, I could have heshed the lower plate of that guy, but it looks like my standard shell did 420 damage anyways, so it would have been a waste to use a hesh shell. And, oh no, I lost 238 hit points. Guess I'll hit you for 400. I mean, the gun on this tank is insane. The ability that I can outtrade the Centurion Mark 5-1 and then win every engagement. Like, sure, he's going to shoot me, or maybe not even shoot me. I'm just going to deal another 360. With that, we've dealt 4 shells, and we've rolled 1,537 damage. That's pretty insane. So that is 2 vehicles cleared, one of them an incredibly strong tier 8, and the E50 is a very good vehicle, although that player didn't seem to be very good in the tank itself. So what do we have up against us now? Well, we got the Emil 2 pushing Bat Chat, and I'm like, uh-oh, come on, I'm going to save you. Get a nice shot into the side, and with that, Bat Chat's able to just slug a shell into the Emil 2. Unfortunately, the Bat Chat finishes Bat Chat off. Now, normally, if you're in a situation like this, especially an autoloader, you have to reload your entire clip. But you'll notice after I shot that Emil 2, I was able to reload my 3rd shell, which gave me the ability to then get 3 HE shells into the Bat Chat, give him a little love shell, and there you go. I mean, I just finished off basically a full health tier 9. And now we're going to use the single shot capabilities of this tank to completely butcher the E75. This is where having that single shot ability is great. Like, sure, a normal autoloader might have more DPM overall, but the amount of time it would have taken for me to reload an entire clip on that Bat Chat, I probably would have died. So it's great that you can use a vehicle in this type of situation. So here we go, we're doing pretty good, and we're going to reload 1 final shell onto D75. There you go, 4,600 damage. I mean, that was the easiest 4,600 damage I've ever come across, and it showcases just why the tank is so nice to drive. So now what we're going to do is we're going to showcase the game that was just played on Vineyards. Now again, this is a great battle to showcase just what the tank can do. This wasn't as much damage, and I really didn't do a crazy amount of damage in this game, but I don't really think the highest damage replays are that important. Bat Chat, we were playing together, and he's trying to get out like 2 4Ks, but I don't think that getting out of 4K is all that important. The first game showcased just where the tank does very well, gets out a super high damage battle, but I wanted to showcase this one in particular out of the 12 games because I thought this really showcased where the gun feels so nice, but also where it has some downsides. Accuracy is definitely a big one. This is not great on accuracy, I'll be honest. It's just like this Progetto, where its accuracy on the move and as well its just base accuracy aiming time aren't great. Like, sure, you can definitely snap shells. It is a medium, but it's not going to be nearly as good as a Leopard PTA or a Type 61 on those regards. Now, I was hoping that I would spot somebody crossing towards Seaside, but with my 111-1-4 going over to the sea, I clearly know that most of the enemy team is not going to be sitting over there. So we've got the 62A crossing, and oh boy, he's going right into my trap. I'm going to wait for him to go out in the open, and then I'm going to shoot my first shell. We're going to get the second shell out, and let's get that third shot out. So I just traded 263 hit points to deal 1,093. And again, you're about to watch why the auto-reloading gun part is great. If I was in a normal autoloader, sure, I could have dealt that damage to the 62A. But I wouldn't have been able to get that shell into the 4005, or even this second shell here, again, into the 4005. It just showcases where having the ability to reload a standard shell after you've dumped your damage is great. I mean, I'm already sitting at around 2,000 damage this game because that guy wasn't running Spallliner, and you're going to see again where that 116 mil of Hesh pen is amazing. I mean, I waited just for my last shell to load in there, so nice Hesh shot. Unfortunately, we couldn't get the second shell out anyway, but still, I mean, we're doing pretty solid on damage, and look at the gun. It's so nice. I mean, that was, granted, a very nice snap, but just the fact that that hit, we're already sitting at 2,700 damage because of that one sort of blind shot on the 4005. And the battle's already over. I mean, just easily you can see why I love this tank. And I'm shooting at the ST1 here, and you'll notice that this is where the gun's aiming time is not bad, but the accuracy, oof, yeah. We're aiming at the side of the ST, and you're going to notice that shell just goes really low, and instead of actually penning him, it hits his track. So finally, the third shell goes where I want it to, and it pens his tank. So we've just broken about 3,000 damage, but yeah, that's definitely unfortunate. But hey, look, another S shell, easy damage right into the side of the Progetto, and with that, we're at 3,500. I mean, this just showcases why I love the Standard B. It is a fantastic tank, and I do believe in a good player's hands that this is an overpowered vehicle. It's insane. If you haven't played this vehicle and you've pushed off grinding it or trying it out, I would highly suggest to play it. It's mobile, it's got a great gun, it's got good gun depression, it literally has everything you would want going for it on a tier 10, and this is a tier 9, so yeah, pretty strong. And honestly, it's not just the Standard B, that's a fantastic tank. The P44 Pantera being the tier 8 on the tech tree, that's one of my favorite tier 8s in the game. It's got great penetration, a great auto-reloading gun. A lot of people like to call it a worse Progetto 46. I don't really agree with that. It's very different, and honestly, in a lot of situations, it feels much, much better. And when we move over to the Progetto 65, also a fantastic tank, as I've said many times before, it's my favorite tier 10 medium, and it's pretty easy to understand why. With the same type of gun the Standard B has, but more DPM, plus more mobility, and an actual armor profile that can bounce shells, it's just kind of got everything going for it. So hopefully all of you enjoyed today's video. If you'd like to see more like it, please consider smashing that subscribe button down below. But other than that, stay happy, stay healthy, and let me know what your favorite tier 9 is in the comments down below. But other than that, bye-bye.